Hey, what is up, mortals? It is me, Dylan, here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 1 of What if Izuku had a Decay Quirk. I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying, sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. So, we begin. The story begins at the playground, where Bakugo and a few of his friends were once again all teaming up to bully Izuku for not having his quirk.
Stop it! Why are you doing this to me, Kachan?
Bakugo punched the palm of his fist, and a small explosion shot out, while he laughed at Izuku on the ground.
Shut up, Deku! You're weak, so stop trying to hang out with us!
Bakugo tried to attack Izuku with one of his explosions, but Izuku began to sprint away in the opposite direction. He got a good distance away from Bakugo, but he was suddenly hit by one of Bakugo's friends, who used his wings to catch up to Izuku.
Just leave me alone! Please!
Izuku yelled for them to stop, and continued running, then suddenly slipped. He reached out and grabbed the edge of a slide to help save himself from his fall. Unexpectedly, the slide he grabbed broke in his hand, which led to him falling to the floor.
What happened?
Bakugo and his friends looked on in shock and fear. Izuku got up, confused about what happened, and looked at the slide he had grabbed. Slowly, chunks and pieces of it began breaking apart and falling to the ground. The entire slide soon fell to the ground, and continued breaking apart until the entire pole was small chunks on the ground.
You awakened your quirk!
Izuku stared at his hands, wondering if he had done that. He got scared, realizing what he had done. He was afraid he would get into trouble for breaking the slide. Bakugo and his friends ran away, worried Izuku would fight back with his new quirk. They decided to tell the teacher about Izuku's quirk awakening, leading the teacher to call Izuku's mom to tell her. That afternoon, Izuku's mother immediately brought him to a quirk doctor to get his quirk checked out. There they meet with Dr. Kyudai Garaki to inspect Izuku's quirk. After going through some tests, Izuku and his mother sat down in Dr. Kyudai Garaki's office, where he began to explain Izuku's quirk. Your son has quite the interesting quirk, ma'am. To put it simply, his quirk is a decay quirk.
Why is his quirk nothing like mine or his father's?
It is likely a quirk mutation, or a quirk that had skipped a generation.
So, how does his quirk work exactly?
To go further into it, his quirk is an emitter-type quirk with the ability to deconstruct solid objects, including organic matter. It's quite weak right now, so the process of deconstructing will take a while, and it breaks apart into chunks. With some training, we believe not only the speed, but also how it deconstructs will change. The way Izuku activates the quirk is by placing all 5 of his fingers on something to begin the deconstruction.
Oh my, that is quite a dangerous quirk. Do I have an evil quirk?
Izuku asked his mother with a sad tone to his voice. In response, his mother hugged him, trying to comfort him.
No, Izuku. You have a wonderful quirk. You just need to be careful with it.
Your mother is right. Just because your quirk is dangerous doesn't make it evil. In fact, it can be used to help people in the future. Izuku looks at the doctor shocked and amazed.
Really? How?
You seem like a smart kid. I'm sure you could find ways to use your quirk in great ways. Perhaps you could become a hero in the future. Upon hearing that, Izuku grows excited. He could become a hero with his power. A hero who saves people like his idol, All Might.
So, Doctor, how should we make sure Izuku doesn't accidentally decay random objects when he forgets or makes a mistake?
Good question, ma'am. While testing Izuku's quirk, we came up with the solution of wearing gloves. Just cut off one of the fingers to the glove so he isn't touching the glove with all 5 fingers, and it will be alright.
Alright. Thank you.
After the meeting with the quirk doctor, Izuku and his mother go home after shopping at the store to buy Izuku some gloves to wear. The next day, Izuku returns to school. He finds that plenty of the other kids are wary of going near him. They already heard about what his new quirk did from Bakugo's friends. Plenty of the other kids were too scared to go near Izuku, worried he may accidentally hurt them with his quirk.
I won't hurt anybody. Look! These gloves prevent me from using my quirk. Look!
Izuku places his hand on the wall, touching it with all 5 fingers. Thanks to the glove preventing all 5 fingers from making contact with the wall, not activating his quirk. Plenty of the other kids calm down after this, but nearly everyone still avoids him. Bakugo was the first person to approach him, and he decided to ask Izuku a question. So, how does your quirk work? Izuku, happy that someone is finally talking to him, began to explain to Bakugo how his quirk works. Over the next few years, Bakugo started to become Izuku's friend, although he still calls him Deku. Still, they both understand that he doesn't mean it as an insult as he did before. Instead, as more of a joke nickname. Izuku spends the next several years of his life always wearing his gloves. He still practices being careful not touching things with all 5 fingers, even with the gloves on, to build a safe habit. Izuku studies ways he could use his quirk for good. Using it to get rid of rubble on top of a person to save them, or clean up the aftermath of a disaster, like a villain attack. Although he could hardly find a way it could apply to fighting, without leading it to the other person dying. He grew worried that his quirk could only be used for evil things, but remained positive and continued to try and find ways to use his quirk for good. This video is sponsored by ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN allows you to change your IP address, making it harder to track and securing your privacy. In addition to providing safe passage through the web, you can also expand the reach of your favorite streaming services like Disney+. If you're from the United States, you won't be able to watch any of the MCU and Sony Spider-Man movies, but by switching your location to Japan, you can access them whenever you want. Check out the link in the description to get 3 extra months when you purchase the 12-month subscription plan that costs $99.99 a year. This deal is for a limited time only. And thanks to ExpressVPN for sponsoring this video. As the years passed, Izuku and Bakugo continued through school. While in middle school, Bakugo continued to gain attention for his amazing quirk, although his personality wasn't great, with a rather cocky attitude. People still had to admit his quirk was amazing.
Wow.
Bakugo and Izuku often spent time together, which put several people's attention on Izuku. They expected him to have a great quirk like Bakugo, but upon learning of his quirk's ability, many people shied away from Izuku. He had a dangerous quirk that could put many in danger if trained. It seemed normal to Izuku for them to at first come to fear his quirk, as he had done the same himself when he first got it. One day during class, the teacher says he will hand out printouts for the student's desired life course. But instead of doing that, he threw all the printouts into the air. Why bother? I know you all want to be heroes! All the printouts flew across the room as students began to activate their quirk. Bakugo paid no mind showing off his quirk. He simply lay back with his legs up on the desk. Izuku looked around the room, quite surprised at what just happened. He chose not to use his quirk, as he didn't want to break anything. The teacher scolded the class and made them all calm down to regain their attention. Once everyone had stopped fooling around, the teacher looked back at the papers at his desk and read them out. From the looks of it, 2 of you had applied to UA this year. Bakugo and Izuku, correct? No one in the room was surprised about Bakugo wanting to attend UA, as he spent the entire year making it known that he had planned to be the greatest hero. As for Izuku, the entire class looked at him in worry. Not that he wanted to be a hero. That was clear to all of them. He and Bakugo spent a lot of time talking about a future where they could both be heroes. What worried the class was that it was even trying with a quirk like his. All around the class, there were students murmuring and whispering things to each other at the mention of Izuku and his quirk. They were quickly silenced by the loud sound of a desk being kicked, and Bakugo began to yell at the other students. What the hell are you third-rates whispering about? Deku here could wipe the floor with you all, leaving you nothing more than a problem for the janitor.
Kachan? I wouldn't do that to anyone. I don't think you should be saying things like that.
If you weren't going to defend yourself, they have no right to complain about me talking shit. For the rest of the entire class, it was silent, with no one attempting to contest Bakugo's statement. The teacher finished teaching, and everyone began to pack up their bags and leave. Soon after leaving, Izuku and Bakugo split ways, and Izuku began walking home on his own. He soon reached an underpass. While passing by the underpass, he heard a strange noise coming from the sewer nearby. He turned back and looked at the sewer drain, where the noise came from in confusion. Suddenly, a green goop shot out and wrapped itself around Izuku, trying to cover his entire body. Nice timing, kid. It's best if you stop squirming and let me take over your body. The sludge villain began forcing their way into Izuku's mouth, into their body. Izuku tried to claw away at the sludge to no avail, his fingers only passing through. Izuku couldn't breathe, making him panic even more. He squirmed and grabbed at the sludge villain in hopes it would work. Izuku couldn't manage to free himself and was beginning to lose consciousness. Just before he passed out, he heard a man yell, "Detroit! Smash!" Izuku fell to the ground and began coughing, trying to regain his breath. The sludge monster was no longer bound around him, suffocating him. After a few minutes, he stopped coughing and began regaining his strength. He looks over and saw a tall, muscular man with blonde hair. He stood several feet away from Izuku with a plastic bottle in his hand. It hadn't taken Izuku long to recognize the man. All Might! The man stood there confidently, already expecting the boy to have this reaction.
Don't you worry, kid, because I am here! I was able to stop this sludge villain from attacking you any further.
Izuku began panicking from the shock. He never expected to meet the #1 hero like this. He immediately remembered his notebook with all his hero information, and he began scrambling around to find it. Once he'd found it, he bowed down, extending out his arms towards All Might while holding his notebook.
Can I please get your autograph, All Might?
Of course!
All Might quickly signed a page of Izuku's notebook, writing in big bold letters, All Might. Afterwards, All Might was about to leave, but Izuku desperately wanted to ask him a question.
Wait, All Might! I have a question!
What is it?
You see, throughout my life, people have been looking at me like I was some villain because of my quirk. I've always wanted to become a hero and use my quirk for good, even though it's so dangerous. Could I really become a hero with a quirk like mine?
All Might walks over to Izuku and places his hand on Izuku's shoulder.
It isn't the quirk that decides the person. You choose your own destiny. And don't let that be dictated by your quirk. Work and train hard. With that mentality, you can become a hero.
Thank you all for indulging yourselves in all this information thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, I'd like to thank our patrons. BD Flames, Ethan Davis, Terry Chills, Shifter Meals, Adam Zedgel, Zill, XAVB03, and Joshua Phelps. Secondly, I'd also like to thank all of our YouTube members. Toy Acosta, Rob the King, Sith Lord 906, CF2364, and Knuckles. Rimuo Tempest, Angel Juarez, Donald C. Stewart, Brian Greer, and Demonized Fox. Thirdly, if you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials has you covered. Our We the Celestials My Hero Academia and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Fourthly, for those who are keeping track, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in today's excellent content production. Their details can be found in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, I'd like to extend you an invitation to join the team. The only caveat is that we only accept members from 16 years old to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interest by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video, so thank you all for watching.
And have a great day!